Welcome back to Movie Idol. So in this video, I want to discuss the teaser that was revealed, I guess, by AMC on their YouTube channel. We have Daryl, Carol, Michonne, and a bunch of others. They're visiting Ozzy, I guess, at his little stop right here. I'm not sure why they're here, but that's what we'll discuss in this video. It's related for sure to the Whisperers in some way, but I'm just not sure why they're leaving the fair for that. Did they get some sort of warning that something was happening? Like, I'm just a little confused on that. Anyways, before we jump in, I do want to warn you for spoilers for the Walking Dead television series, mostly just episode 14. But in this teaser, we see Daryl, Michonne, Carol, and a bunch of others. They left the fair and they went to go visit Ozzy. Ozzy tells them that the Whisperers came through this camp. I don't know if Ozzy just got here or if this is his camp. I'm a little confused on that part, but this could be an outpost of sorts. It could be something. Ozzy does seem to know of the Whisperer threat, which I guess kind of makes sense since he is out on the road a lot and he's patrolling these areas. Over time, he's just going to hear of things, right? So they mentioned that there was something on the ground from Hilltop. So I don't know necessarily what that means. Did some of the Whisperers follow the Hilltop to the kingdom? That's what I'm wondering, because at the end of episode 14, we see the Whisperers arrive at the kingdom and they say, we got to tell Alpha. So Alpha's unaware of what these Whisperers are doing. So I'm thinking these Whisperers, or Alpha just had Whisperers at the Hilltop still, watching over them. When they all left, they were curious and I guess followed them. Eventually they got back to the fair, even if they don't know it's a fair, like it's a new community, right? So maybe some of that is related to some stuff that we're seeing here. I really have no idea, but the Whisperers are following them. We already know a big moment that's going to be happening in next week's episode. One thing I do want to say is I really do like Ozzy as a character. Now, I just posted a video discussing the Ozzy theory and maybe if that was him. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually think it probably is him just because it makes no sense. It's a little too much. If anything, it actually might be that Whisperer lady that got her head cut off or whatever a few episodes back. It could be her. Maybe it's Eldon. Eldon might be a little bit much, but Ozzy, I think as a character, he's really starting to grow on me. And it really is more specifically because of this scene here. Now, I don't want him to be a main character yet. I want them to slowly kind of tease him and give us more of that. So that's why I really do hope that he doesn't die in next week's episode or this week's episode. I hope he is around for a bit. Maybe it's because his name is Ozzy. I don't know. But there's something about him that I just really, really like. I'm not really a fan of the overall group. I think the group is a little bit much. I just don't like keeping track of all these groups. But the character of Ozzy, I like the character of Ozzy a lot. Carol says that Michonne and her are going to go with Daryl and track them, which I'm guessing at this point here, everyone else is going to go back to the fair, and Carol, Michonne, and Daryl are going to end up in the Whisperer camp, which is what we see in the trailer. The one thing that I wanted to talk about is how they're going to handle the reveal. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because a lot of people, I guess I shouldn't say a lot of people, but there are some people out there saying that, or at least they're worried that this Whisperer Pike reveal could be too much for fans. Much like Glenn and Abraham's deaths were too much for fans back then, and a lot of people left. So is that a worry of mine? In a way, it is, but it really just depends on the execution of it. Like when I remember back to when Glenn and Abraham died, or before then, like with before the Negan cliffhanger happened, I was expecting someone to die. I was expecting it to be very, very brutal. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be so gruesome, like the most gruesome scene we've ever seen on the show. And I think most people were okay with it since the season 6 finale really built up that tension right until the end. I think because there was that tension there, if that gruesome stuff happened with Glenn, and say that even if they killed Abraham too, even if they did the same exact thing, though I do believe they chose 2 people to die because they just had to make it shocking, right? They had to make the cliffhanger worthy of it. So even if that was the original plan to kill Abraham and Glenn, if they did it at the end of the episode, the build-up would have matched the ending event or their deaths, like the gruesomeness. It would have been worth the watch, right? Like I was already feeling very, very scared watching that. I felt sick. I knew what happened in the comics. I was expecting Glenn to die. If he would have actually died there, then I would have been, I would have let that episode be feeling very just, wow, what the hell do we do next? And this way, all summer, I can sort of get over it. And then in season 7, just kind of move on from those deaths. Start a whole new season with them moving on and dealing with the aftermath of it and getting into the March to War arc, and then eventually obviously All Out War. So I think with this Whisperer Pike thing, if they don't do it as a cliffhanger, which I just don't think they're going to, I think that's just, that's suicide for the show if they did that, then I think they'll be fine. They just can't do it as a cliffhanger. And I think if they did it right, no matter how gruesome it is, no matter who the character is, if it's built up during an episode, I think a lot of fans are going to accept it. I think fans will realize that, wow, that person's death was worthy of what happened. just like Jesus' death in the mid-season finale. It was very sad. He's a big character, but they built up to that. Like the whole reveal of the Whisperers, who these people are, they really built up to that moment. And when he eventually died, it was sad. It was heartbreaking, but it was like, holy shit, though. Like that was a really great episode. I think Glenn's death was worthy of that instead of just immediately picking up in season 7 and just seeing what happened afterwards, and all tension gone, everything gone. It just ended up being this whole drama piece. So overall, I'm not really worried. I'm worried if they do it as a cliffhanger and depending on how they execute the whole scene. But as long as they don't do it as a cliffhanger, as long as they reveal who did die in episode 15 and not make us wait until the finale, I think everyone overall is going to be very, very happy. I trust Angela Kang to not do crazy cliffhangers just because of what she said a few episodes back. I think it was after the mid-season finale, which was they discussed keeping Jesus' death a secret sort of thing until the mid-season premiere, but then realized that, well, there was kind of no point in doing that. Let's bookend this chapter here and have episode 9 sort of be the reaction and aftermath, and they'll deal with something afterwards. She wanted to give fans some sort of payoff for watching for the last 3 episodes post-Rick, right? So I do trust her in that sense. I do think that's what's going to be happening. Like, I do think what's happening this season is episode 15 is going to be the big episode. Much like episode 12, I think it was called Better Angels, was of season 2. That was Shane's death episode. Episode 13 was the aftermath of it. We saw Rick and Carl deal with whatever happened there. The walkers ended up pushing everyone off the farm, and then we eventually got some sort of tease at the end to the prison. So I think that's what they're doing in the season 9 finale. It's going to be a reaction to this Pike scene. There might be some other stuff, and then at the very end, we're going to get some sort of tease for season 10. It's going to be something big. Maybe Michonne lets Negan out of his cell. Something is going to be happening there. Expect some sort of maybe even tease for Rick. I would love if Rick came back for that episode. Remember, he was rumored for 6 episodes for season 9. No one knew if that was going to be right or not. So maybe he did film a very short scene for the season 9 finale. I'm like almost 100% doubtful of that, but it would be really cool to see, right? Just to sort of bookend this last season that he was in. Though I guess the show at this point needs to kind of stay away from him a little bit if they want to succeed. Because if everyone is constantly reminded of Rick, everyone's just constantly going to be sad about it, right? Now, as for if any of these characters in this scene are going to die, I am really wondering because for one, there's Cal right here. And he's also at the beginning of the fair, so I don't know. It is kind of hilarious the way Angela Kang has set up this fair, and I'm going to do a video discussing who might actually die in a second because we've got a ton of images, like almost 20 images of everyone at the fair. But the way she set this up, it is very hard to even determine who might die. The only person I'm very, very sure of is Tammy Rose, but other than that, when you look at everything, all the teasers out there and everything, everybody, for the most part, besides Negan, obviously, is at this fair. So I mean, Negan's safe, right? But everybody else isn't. Even Luke and Eldon are at the fair. So it could be anyone. Like, Angela Kang has set this up so it's literally just so unpredictable. But yeah, like I said, I want to go over a bunch of these images in a separate video and discuss what might be happening in each shot, which characters could die and all that. Now I do want to talk about the snow because everyone in this shot here, they're wearing jackets and stuff like that. So the weather, it's obviously getting a little colder out. And I wonder if snow will be coming in episode 15. I'm hoping it will. The reason why I'm hoping it's going to is because I think in the finale, if the blizzard just happened out of nowhere, it would be very, very unbelievable because why would that just happen? Just remembering like the last, I don't know how many, 5, 6, 7 winters, there was never a winter or whenever snow arrived where it was just like this immediate blizzard. Like there's always like a light snowfall at first, right? There's always that first snowfall before any sort of blizzard happens. So I'm hoping we get something like that. I'm okay with it happening in the finale because it is kind of cool, but episode 15 has to tease a little bit of it. We do got to see some snow. There's got to be something with it beforehand. Imagine that though. Imagine the very ending of this episode. We're going to see snow on the Walking Dead. First of all, it's going to be really crazy. We're going to see the Pike scene. Daryl, Michonne, everyone's going to be destroyed. If Ezekiel dies or someone related to Carol dies, Carol, we're going to see her screaming and freaking out. Does Daryl hold her just like he held her back in season 2 with Sophia? It's likely going to be nighttime or something like that. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I'm going to be getting a lot of season 2 vibes, I think, in next week's episode. I think that's the episode I'm probably going to draw a lot of comparisons to. From Sophia's death to like Shane's death and like the aftermath of that, like the big episode being episode 12. I'm just really excited. Like, I'm so glad The Walking Dead is good again. I remember a year ago doing videos on the end of season 8 and being like, yeah, you know, I kind of enjoyed the second half of season 8. Overall, it was okay, but in my reviews, I did have some complaints on certain episodes. I had complaints on how they handled certain things, and I think overall my reviews back then were more of, yeah, the episode was good for sort of what the season is right now. With this new Walking Dead, with how much I'm just not a fan of it, I guess it's okay. But this season, I've just been blown away with every episode. Even with certain episodes that weren't as strong, the writing was still fine. I was still happy with it. With episode 14, I know a lot of people are saying that it was overhyped, and I do think it was overhyped. And I went into it ignoring all the hype because I just had to see it that way. Now, I was able to like watch it without commercials for the most part, except for the end of it, but I do think that helped my viewing of the episode because everything just happened so fast. There really wasn't any tension that was cut. I was able to just watch everything how it was supposed to be. So I can see if you were watching it with commercials, the episode could have been like very slow. Though I do think there's a reason everyone's kind of freaking out about it. The growth, from what I remember, I never understood all the hype about it back in the day. I thought it was just kind of like I don't know, I wasn't a big fan of the episode, but now I do sort of understand that it was just how intense that moment was and the decisions that Carol had to make. Much like Michonne, when she was in that very last scene with those kids, she was forced to make a decision like, I'm just gonna have to kill these kids. There's literally no way out. Like, my daughter is in there. She might die if I don't do this. Like, she had no other choice. It's ridiculous. And us watching that and seeing how it unraveled, just getting in that moment, like last night's episode was crazy. Anyways, post your thoughts down below. How do you think they're gonna handle the reveal? Also, how do you like Ozzy? And do you think they're going to handle the snow thing well? Do you think the snow is going to come in episode 15 at the end or in the season 9 finale? Post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.